We are going to address a number of issues. And the first issue that we wish to talk about is the suspension of the CEO. Over the last 2.5 days, I've been talking to the CEO, Thabang Mooroe, and we reached a point where both of us agree that it would be prudent and also in the interest of the organization if he were to take leave from the organization. And we agreed that he would take precautionary leave. And during that time also, we were looking at a number of possibilities, because if the CEO is not in place, then there has to be somebody who takes over the administration, to head the administration. And the board meeting that we had yesterday at 9 o'clock via teleconference, when I presented this situation to the board, it was acceptable. And also the board gave me a mandate to say I should talk to a number of people. And one of the people that I was mandated to talk to is the former ICC CEO, Dave Richardson, in order to see if he cannot come on board during this intervening period, because the CEO would be on precautionary suspension for a certain period of time. We concluded that agreement this morning, that discussion this morning. However, Dave Richardson made it very clear that as a South African, he would have loved to take the opportunity. But all of us know that he has just retired from the ICC after a very long period of time at the highest level of cricket administration. And he made it very clear that currently he has plans that he feels that it would be difficult for him on a full-time basis to come and assist at CSA. And he made it very clear that as a committed South African, that he is willing and able and available to help whoever will put in during this intervening period. And he's going to support that person and share his experiences for the benefit of this country.
Simply speaking, the time of my life, 60. I need someone who has got the energy to implement.
But he's 64.
And I think we'd make a good team. Jacques is a tremendous implementer. He helped us a little bit with Zimbabwe at some point, and he came up and he was part of a working group there. And, before you'd finished the meeting, he'd made the call, and that's what we need. We need to get things done. Yes, I've had 17 or so years with ICC and didn't want to step into a full-time job just at this stage in my life. I've just become a grandfather recently, and I've got kids all over the world, so I just wanted to spend a bit more time with them. And I've got enough grey hair to last me till the end. I'm pleased to be involved. I'm glad that Jacques has agreed to take this position. I think I first met Jacques when he came to Dubai, and he met with us to try and ask us questions and find out things. And I know he'd just been to America and he'd been to UK and everywhere. And he's really worked at his game. And you've seen the results at Titan specifically. They've done really well. And I think he is the best man for the job. And so if I can just be there to provide guidance and support where necessary, it will be a pleasure.
In that regard, we began discussions with Dr. Jacques Fall from Northern Cricket Union. And you know that Jacques had been an acting CEO at CSA at some point in time, and he left to take over at the Northerns. And when I spoke to him, he did not even think for a moment. He said, I will come in to lend my support and put my shoulder on the wheel for the benefit of cricket in this country. Therefore, as of this moment, the acting CEO of CSA is Dr. Jacques Fall.
I would imagine I'll have the same powers as a CEO of a national federation. I haven't had a discussion with the board, but I can't think it's any different. To be fair, the director of cricket will have a strong mandate as well, and we also want to allow him, as that's my understanding of it. But for me, you've got to assume your operational powers as a chief executive officer. I'm not sure if the board runs it or would be, running it in a different way, and it's maybe something that I need to discuss with them at this stage. I don't know. We've got to get a plan going a structured way, and also got to engage with the staff as well. So I've got some experience in 2011, so hopefully I've learned something. But I think in terms of relationships, that's probably a good start for us.
The other issue then, which is also very interesting and topical in our country at the moment, is the appointment of the director of cricket. You'll be aware that there was a process that was put in place, and that process gave a particular outcome. And you'll be aware that one of the candidates who would have been considered as a preferred candidate made certain comments in the media about his non-availability. And I had to confirm with the CEO and also with the chairperson of REMCO as to whether this candidate was indeed the preferred candidate. And when they confirmed that to me in the affirmative, then I began to talk to this candidate. And as such, we progressed the discussions up to a point where we had an in-principle agreement. And that in-principle agreement was followed by discussing contract issues, details, which would be the basis of us agreeing and signing an engagement contract with him. We have also spoken to him this morning, and I've contacted him to say, in as much as we had not gone through the process of actually agreeing on the contract, but that the time is of the essence. We need things to move and move as fast as we can. Therefore, I'm happy to announce that we have engaged Graham Smith. That is now in the public domain, and I'm confirming that we have engaged him, and he has agreed that by next week, Wednesday, all the negotiations around the contract terms that needs to take place would have been concluded, and they will have to enter into an agreement, so that we still have these 3 days left for the process of engagement on the specifications, on the specific issues around the contract. And we have, both of us, him and CSA, agreed that it's important that we conclude this by Tuesday, so that on Wednesday we are able to announce to the public a certain point of how do we go forward on this matter, because it is important. And if you have your director of cricket in place, then your selection process is going to kick in, and then your team preparation is going to kick in. Because in the manner in which we have structured this role, we do not want a situation where this person is not having input and a contribution in the manner in which you build your selection panel. The other issue that we want to be very clear about as a board and the members' council is for us to affirm our support to the players, and we'll be engaging with the players to ensure that CSA builds an inclusive culture for all its stakeholders, in particular the players and the members of staff. We have just briefed the senior management of staff, and we are going to engage the players because the players are very important to us. It's a very, very important stakeholder. And actually, if the players were not there, there would not be CSA. So it is important for us to normalize relations at that level and talk to the players so that we have a common approach and a common understanding and a common way of doing things going forward. So that matter is going to be attended to. This is part of an engagement which CSA will be having with SACA as a matter of urgency. I think I'll come back to that point. It is important that these two organizations, CSA and SACA, get into a point where all the issues that seem to be vexatious between us and them are handled and therefore are dealt with in a manner that is very, very professional and manner that is very conclusive. One of the issues that have created this sense of tension, if I may use that word, between the board and SACA, is a decision that the Members' Council had taken to restructure domestic cricket in order to infuse the two levels of first-class cricket. And there has been an issue that SACA has put on the table that we have not properly and as expected, consulted with them in terms of the recognition agreement as well as MOU 18. The Members' Council last night gave the board a clear mandate to say the board needs to fix this relationship with SACA and that the board must do everything possible to ensure that all of these issues are addressed so that there is harmony in the relationship, there's harmony in the cricket space in this country. Therefore, the board is committed to implement this directive given by the Members' Council and regarding the rebuilding of the relationship with SACA. As a matter of process in that regard, the board will be putting in place a negotiating panel, which would be the arm that is going to do the actual talking and the actual negotiations with SACA. And we are going to inform SACA in due course of this decision so that we're able to move together and get into robust discussion on the basis of honesty, on the basis of having a common view in terms of what is the interest that the country expects us to protect relating to cricket. The other issue is the events over the last few days that emanated from the revocation of the accreditation for certain journalists. And as a board, we have noted the apology that has been coming from the CEO to stakeholders, and in particular, the players, the media, the sponsors, the fans. And as a board, we endorse that apology. And as a board, we wish to extend that apology to everybody, the players, volunteers, members of staff of CSA, and anybody who has interest in cricket, who wants to see cricket developing and wants to see cricket becoming a sport of choice in this country of ours. The other issue that we considered, you'll recall that we had put Western Province Cricket Association under administration for a number of reasons. And that process or that decision was taken on arbitration by the board of the Western Province Cricket Association. And the award was granted to Western Province Cricket Association. And when the arbitrator awarded that decision to the Western Province Cricket Association, he noted very important matters that we have to consider as CSA. One, in terms of our MOI, the step-in rights are contained in Article 12.3 and Article 12.4 of our MOI. And that is what guides you when you're stepping in a particular affiliate. And in terms of substantive issues, the arbitrator has not found fault in as far as CSA is concerned on those issues. But what the administrator has done, because this is a contractual relationship, the administrator has applied a very strict interpretation of the relevant clauses. Because remember, it's about protection of rights. So he applied a very, very strict interpretation. And when he looked at the relevant clauses and looked at the actions of CSA, he could not find expressly stated in the relevant clauses that which authorizes CSA to act and conduct itself in the manner in which it has. As a result, he found in favor of the Western Province Credit Association, and we met as a board and we said we're not going to take this matter on review. We were not intervening in that space in a manner that is vindictive, but we were trying to find a solution to a problem that could emanate and also that could put the project that is ongoing there in jeopardy. We therefore agreed that we will respect the award and the decision of the arbitrator, and we are going to start a process to firm up and close the gaps within our own MOI, so that when we in future step in an affiliate, it is a fair process that is grounded on proper provisions of the MOI. The other issue is the position and tenure of the board. At the meeting last night, we had a very, very robust discussion. If I can give you a sense of that meeting, the meeting started at 7. The meeting ended at 1:15 in the morning. It was a very robust meeting, very honest and very honest in terms of addressing the issues, not skirting the issues. But at the end of the day, or at the end of the night, of the morning, the Members' Council supported and endorsed the board to continue in its role and move forward in its efforts to turn the organization around, with a very clear message that the Members' Council expect the board to exercise authority and its power in the interest of cricket. And the Members' Council therefore endorsed that the board should continue and to guide us through this period and to turn things around in the organization and take the necessary decision that needed to be taken. Then the other issue is the resignation of independent directors. You would have, in fact, I think you were the first to know, probably, that some directors had resigned. Professor Shirley Zinn, Mohammed Iqbal Khan, former chairman of Finance Committee, as well as Don Mukhobo, the former chairperson of Ramco, citing various reasons. And I have spoken to all of them. And unfortunately, some of the resignations, before the board could consider them, were out there in the media. But as a board, we want to emphasize the point that board members have a responsibility to the organization, have a responsibility to the company in terms of keeping confidential information of the company. It's a duty that attaches to each and every member of the board. And the board has decided to thank them for their services. And as I have communicated as such to them, and the board will engage in a process through our nomination processes to fill in those vacancies. The last matter that I want to address you on is the suspension of certain staff members at head office. I think it would have been when, after the company secretary was appointed, Walsh Gwaza, I met him and the CEO. And one of the things that I said to them is that let's clean up our organization. And it is an instruction that I've given before. Let's clean up our organization so that what we see, what the public sees, is what the public want to see. And these are very difficult issues to deal with. We cannot go into details because you're talking about the employment of individuals in the company. And as a responsible employer, we cannot therefore begin to go into details as to what are the specific issues and so on. But what is important is that there are disciplinary processes which have been instituted against these staff members. To ensure that the disciplinary process is fair, CSA has appointed independent chairpersons for the DC hearing as well as an external prosecutor. What we've done, we've taken whatever we have in terms of evidence, put before an independent prosecutor for that person to prosecute this case so that there's total independence in dealing with these matters.